General Tan I. Raden Sudirman was born in Purbalingga 24 January 1916 and died in Magelang 29 January 1950 at the age of 34 years old. He was a high-ranking Indonesian officer during the Indonesian National Revolution. As a commander of the First Indonesian National Army, he is a respected figure in Indonesia. He was born to an ordinary folk couple in Purbalingga, Dutch East Indies, and Sudirman was abducted by his uncle. After his family moved to Cilacap in 1916, Sudirman grew up to be an avid student. He is very active in extracurricular activities, including following the scouting program run by the Islamic organization Muhammadiyah. While in middle school, Sudirman began to show his ability to lead and organize, and was respected by the community for his devotion to Islam. After dropping out of teacher training in 1936, he began working as a teacher and later became headmaster of the Muhammadiyah Primary School. He was also active in other Muhammadiyah activities and became the leader of the Muhammadiyah Youth Group in 1937. After the Japanese occupied the Dutch East Indies in 1942, Sudirman still continued to teach. In 1944, he joined the Japanese-sponsored Homeland Defense or PETA Army, serving as a battalion commander in Banyumas. During his tenure, Sudirman and his fellow soldiers rebelled. Until then, they were exiled to Bogor. After Indonesia proclaimed its independence on 17 August 1944, Sudirman escaped from the detention center, then went to Jakarta to meet with President Sukarno. He was assigned to oversee the surrender process of the Japanese troops in Banyumas, which he did after establishing the local division of the People's Security Agency. His troops were then made part of Division V on October 20 by the interim Commander Aurib Sumoharjo, and Sudirman was in charge of the division. On 12 November 1945, in the election to determine the Commander-in-Chief of TKR in Yogyakarta, Sudirman was elected Commander-in-Chief, while Aurib, who had been active in the military before Sudirman was born, became Chief of Staff. While waiting to be appointed, Sudirman ordered an attack to British and Dutch troops in Ambarawa. This fighting and the withdrawal of the British Army led to stronger popular support for Sudirman, and he was finally appointed Commander-in-Chief on 18 December. Over the next 3 years, Sudirman witnessed the failure of the negotiation with the Dutch colonial army who wanted to recolonize Indonesia. The first was the Linggarjati Agreement, which Sudirman was also drafting, and the Rafael Agreement, which caused Indonesia to return the territory it took in Military Aggression 1 to the Netherlands, and withdrawal of 35,000 Indonesian troops. He also faced rebellion from within, including a coup d'etat attempt in 1948. He later blamed these events for his tuberculosis. Due to the infection, his right lung was collapsed in 1948. On 19 December 1948, a few days after Sudirman was discharged from the hospital, the Dutch launched Military Aggression 2 to occupy Yogyakarta, while the political leaders took refuge in the Sultan's palace. Sudirman, along with a small group of soldiers and his personal doctors, traveled south and began guerrilla resistance for 7 months. Initially, they were followed by the Dutch troops, but Sudirman and his troops managed to escape and set up a temporary base at Sobo, near Mount Lawu. From this place, he was able to command military activities on the island of Java, including the general offensive of 1 March 1949 of Yogyakarta, led by Lieutenant Colonel Suharto. When the Dutch started to withdraw, Sudirman was recalled to Yogyakarta in July 1949, although he wanted to continue the resistance against the Dutch troops, but he was banned by President Sukarno because his tuberculosis disease that he had collapsed. He retired and moved to Magelang. Sudirman died approximately 1 month after the Dutch recognized Indonesia's independence. He was buried in the Sumaki Heroes Cemetery, Yogyakarta. Sudirman's death became a mourning for all Indonesian people. Half-masted flags were raised and thousands of people gathered to watch the funeral procession. Sudirman continues to be respected by the Indonesian people. His guerrilla resistance was designed as a means of developing esprit de corps for the Indonesian army, and his 100-kilometer guerrilla route had to be followed by Indonesian cadets before graduating from the military academy. Sudirman was featured on the 1968 rupiah banknote, and his name has been immortalized on a number of streets, universities, museums, and monuments. On December 10, 1964, he was declared as a national of Indonesia.